So, am I audible, Bhupen sir?
Yes, yes, clearly, clear and loud.
So, just I'm starting. Good morning, students. Thank you for being here this Saturday morning. On the behalf of Mechanical Engineering Department, we are pleased to welcome Dr. S.S. Chauhan, an academic expert in the field of biomechanics. Dr. Chauhan is working as a professor and head, Center of Excellence at GL Bajaj Institute of Engineering and Technology, Greater Noida. Dr. Chauhan is currently doing research in biomechanics and he has published a number of papers and filed also number of patents on this particular field, which is biomechanics directly related to your engineering mechanics, which you are currently studying in this particular first semester. As we always say in the classes that engineering mechanics will play a very vital role in every aspect of day-to-day life. So today, Dr. Chauhan is going to share with us his expert opinion on the various concepts of engineering mechanics that are applicable in case of biomechanics. With that, I believe that you will give your full attention to Dr. Chauhan. Dr. Chauhan, now you can proceed for your presentation. Just I am unsharing my slide and now you can proceed for your presentation.
Thank you, Sanjeev Kumar Sharma. Loading my presentation. Okay, so my PPT is visible?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay. Chauhan sir, could you please? Yes, okay. Okay, it's all right, sir.
Anything else if you want to?
Right. Yes, it's all right. It's all right.
Okay. So welcome students, and today we will discuss about the biomechanics. Before proceeding to understand that what is biomechanics, we have to first think what is mechanics. Mechanics means it is a motion, or you can say that it is a branch of physics which deals with the physical state of the body, whether the body is at rest or in motion, right? So here we have to apply some principles which are very common or useful to understand the concept of the mechanics. So mechanics is basically is useful to understand the concept which is used in the engineering field. For example, if you want to design a structure, you should know the mechanics fundamental, means the forces, how the forces are acting on the members. And suppose if a wheel is moving on a surface, that what are the concept acting behind of this. So similarly, we have to go for the understanding the concept of the biological field in the case of biomechanics. So have you ever wondered why some players are able to regularly make a skill look effortless? They are always giving the perfect results. How it is possible, right? So if we say that biomechanics, what is biomechanics? Biomechanics is the science of movement of a living body, which including how the muscles, bones, tendons and ligaments work together to produce movement. So if we talk about all these things, so you can say that it is majorly related with the kinesiology. It means the human movement. So it is earlier described in the 1974 by one person, and they describe the definition of the biomechanics is the study of the structure and function of biological system by means of methods of mechanics. Means we have to understand the concept of the mechanics first, understand the principle of the mechanics, and these principles are how helpful to understand the biological systems. So you can see here in this diagram that this is our human body arm, right? And if we talk about, there are three major components which are important. First is the bones, which provide a suitable structure to support the body. The second is the ligaments. Ligaments are basically placed between the joints, or it is called as the axis about which the motion begins. And the third one, which is very important to give the motion of the entire body, is known as the muscles. So these muscles will contract and expand. So due to the contraction and expansion of the muscles, your entire body will move, right? So you can see here that in this diagrams, you will follow that these are the weight which is suspended at the end of the arm. And this is the axis. It means at elbow joint, you will find out the axis where the rotation or angular movement begins. And this muscles, biceps muscles is connected at a point where we actually apply the force. Or you can say that this weight is acting downward, then this weight is counterbalanced by with the help of this muscle. Okay. Similarly, a person who is walking on the surface, when his foot is in contact with the ground, there will be a ground reaction forces. So these ground reaction forces will act upward and the body will be downward. So therefore, if you talk about their bones or structure, these bones are subjected to the forces, and their joints are also subjected to the forces. So it's a kind of forces, and this study is known as the biomechanics, right? So bio means living, means we have to find out how a person is living in the world, how a body is moving in the world. Mechanics means we have to calculate the forces and to realize their effect, right? So biomechanics include not only the structure of bones and muscles and the movement they can produce, but also the mechanics of blood circulation, renal function, and other body functions. So it is not only to provide the structure movement, we have to consider the fluid mechanics also. So if we talk about the biomechanics study, which is this is not related to only human body, it is also related to the animals and even extend to plants and the mechanical working cells. See, I know that there was one study done by people, one researcher on animal or on horses. They concluded the motion of the horses and find out the forces which are developed during the movement. Okay, why to study a biomechanics? What is the requirement to study the biomechanics? See, the first purpose of the studying a biomechanics is to understand the forces which are acting on a human body. Suppose if you walk on the surface, your entire body is feeling a, you can say, kind of resistance, or you can say a kind of forces, right? So these forces are very important for a person to move their body in the right direction. Second is to manipulate these forces. Basically, why to manipulate these forces? Sometimes in the case of treatment procedure, or you can say that if you want to improve the performance of a sports person, we have to manipulate these forces, right? You may have some kind of sports activity when you play some like a cricket or football or some other kind of activities in your daily routine. You will find out that how you can hit a ball, right? So this is basically the part of the mechanics. Means if you try to understand that where you have to concentrate the maximum force, you can easily find out that how to improve your performance, right? Next is better understanding of both joint function and dysfunctions. Joint functions is a critical analysis. It's not so simple because if we talk about the joint, for example, a knee joint, you know that knee joint is a more complex joint. Why it is complex joint? Because it has not only the rotation, it has some sliding motion also, right? I will tell you later on with the help of some pictures or graphs. So this is a very complex and having a 6 degree of freedom, right? So degree of freedom means there are possible movement. How many possible movement of a joint will have? This is called as the degree of freedom, right? So in order to control the degree of freedom or to provide the motion, we have to first realize that how what muscles will provide this kind of motion, right? Next is in the case of the design improvement of the devices, for example, joint arthroplasty, system and orthotic devices. In many cases, when you use some supporting devices, for example, if you have some disability, you have to use some wheelchairs, or you can say some walking aids, right? Or sometimes you have to use a simple stick, right, to get the support, right? So this kind of biomechanics is also helping to modify the design part of the orthotics devices. Next is to understand how the musculoskeletal system functions. See, as I told you, that every joint will have some group of muscles, right? And these muscles will play a very important role to provide a motion for a particular segment of the body, right? Suppose if you want to move your hand, your leg will not move, right? So this muscles will help to move the hand, right? Okay, your shoulder like this. If you don't want to move this elbow, you just want to rotate your shoulder in the space, okay, then what happening in this case, the some group of muscles which are placed here, these muscles will be helpful. Next is, it is very useful for the patient evaluation and treatments. For example, in the case of a physiotherapist who is doing some exercise for you, and they will provide some guidelines that you should do this exercise. For example, a person is losing their ligaments, okay, right? Ligaments means, you know that your knee joint, if you talk about knee joint, will have two bones, larger bones. Upper bones is a femur and lower bones is a tibia, and these two bones are rotating and sliding to each other, right? So therefore, if this rotation and sliding motion will be constrained with the help of ligaments, and if any one ligament fails, then what happening in that case, there are two options. One is either you go for operation, surgical operation, right? Orthopedic surgeon. Then second thing is to go for the therapist. So therapist, what he will do, he will provide you some exercise, and you have to do this exercise to strengthen your muscles, because their muscles, if you provide the good strength of your muscles, these muscles will be capable to stabilize your joint. Now this is the beauty of the you can say that biomechanics. So similarly, you can say that in the example of say squat analysis. Squat means when you are sitting on the ground by folding your leg, or you can say that when you bend your knees fully, right? So in that case, if you consider you have to take the movement or position of the feet, hips, knee, back, and shoulder and arm, all these joints will move simultaneously, and this posture is very difficult posture which you can easily do in your place. But to understand this posture, you can see that you have to rotate all these joints. You have to provide the motion of these, all these joints, means hip, foot, knee, ankle, and all these things. You can see that when you're sitting on the ground by just folding your leg, right, you have to rotate slightly your ankle joint also, right? So biomechanics, you can say it is the field of the sports, right? So in the case of sports, what happening, we use the biomechanics which is possible to specify more actions and positions that can increase sports performance, okay? Now if we talk about the elements of the biomechanics, it is just like a mechanics component, or you can say that the fields where we have to understand first. There are some key areas that biomechanics focuses. One is the statics. Statics means when the body is at rest, right, or is moving at a constant velocity. So this is the condition when the body is in equilibrium. Equilibrium means you can say that when the body will have all the forces or moments, sum is equals to 0, right? There is no you can say unbalanced force, right? So this is known as the part of the statics. Second is the dynamics. Dynamics means when the body, human body is in motion, right? So we have to study such type of systems which are in motion. It means we have to consider the acceleration or declarations. Next is the kinematics. Kinematics is basically, it is a study of the position, velocity, acceleration, displacement, right? And we have to analyze the motion patterns in the planes without considering its cause. Cause means forces, okay? So we will not consider here the forces. We will just see the effect of the force. What is the effect of the force? What is the effect of the force which is applied by the muscle? Okay. So this is the study of the kinematics. Next is kinetics. Kinetics is basically, again, it is the part of the biomechanics, means where you have to consider majorly the force or the main cause of motion, right? So we have to consider the forces and moments which are acting on the joints of the body segments. So during walking or running or any kind of sports activity, we have to calculate the kinematics, and this is very useful for the therapist person also to improve the performance of the sports person. Next is see, yes, this is Newton's three laws of motion. Because if suppose if we just think about some questions, why it is easier to throw a tennis ball further than the medicine ball? Okay, suppose if you are landing from a jump, you will keep your leg straight or you bend your leg, right? Next is suppose why do swimmer or sprinter use a starting block? Means when a runner is just initiate his motion, he has to use a starting block, right? He has to set his posture in such a way that when he is just take off, okay, take off the motion, right? So this is very important to understand. If you realize practically, you will better understand that in any kind of sports activity of a person, if you watch their posture very carefully, you will get that. Yes. Anything? I'm audible? Yes, please respond.
Yes, sir, you can continue. You can continue, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so three laws of motions are not new. You can say that, but it's still these laws of motions are very useful and applicable for understanding the biomechanics principles, right? The first law is the law of inertia. The second law is the law of acceleration, and the third law is the law of reaction. I will just go through these laws very quickly and see that how these laws are useful for the biomechanical principles. See, the first law is an object at rest tends to stay at rest, and an object in motion tends to stay in motion unless an external force is applied, right? So this first law, Newton's first law, is relevant to understand the biomechanical principle when the body is moving in a straight line or in angular motion, right? In the case of levers, our body is also having a multiple levers. Next is the inertia, then balance and stability, right? Then second law is the law of acceleration. Law of acceleration states that a force applied to a body causes an acceleration proportional to the force in the direction of the force and inversely proportional to the body mass. So you know that it is very common to understand that force equals to mass into acceleration. And if we talk about the Newton's second law application in the biomechanical principle, we should understand the acceleration, momentum, and moment of inertia, right? Then the third law or last law described by the Newton is the law of reaction, action and reaction. So we know that for every action there is an equal and an opposite reaction, right? So again here the biomechanical principles to which Newton's third law is relevant is including here the transfer of momentum, conservation of momentum, elasticity, rebound, friction, Okay, so these kind of activities which are works on the biomechanical principles. So you can see here in this picture, a person is jumping on the elastic member. Just think about that. What happened when this elastic member is not having elasticity property? It is a hard material, or uh, whether he will can you say that he will be able to jump like this? Answer is no, right? Because this jumping is only provided just because of the elasticity of the member, right? So there are so many things which are associated in the biomechanics field. Similarly, as I told you, when a person is running at very high speed on the ground, there will be a reaction also. Action means due to the weight or the striking force on the ground, and there will be equal and opposite reaction on the walking person, right? Now these reactions will move to find out the machine, or you can say a human body, a kind of a machine. Why it is machine? Because it is just like a mechanism, right? And it is powered due to the muscle forces. So muscles will gain the energy due to the oxygen. So when, just think, when you move very fast in speed, right? So your, what will be your oxygen rate consumption? Your oxygen consumption rate will suddenly increase, okay? Because you will require more oxygen when you increase your speed, right? Because your muscles will take more requirement. Okay, this is a very interesting slide here. This is a type of motion we should understand in the biomechanics field, or you can say in the general movement of the body. It is just like a rigid body which is moving in the space. So the body will have one is the linear motion. So linear motion means the person who is sliding, or you can say skating on the surface, right? Then this person will have only the rating. Let me open out the pen. Okay, so this motion is basically is a linear. It means it will move in a straight direction, right? Until he will revolve. The second thing is rotational motion. Rotational motion means you know that most human movements are rotational. It means that takes place around an axis. This is a virtual axis, or you can say hypothetical axis. So you can see here that your this leg will rotate about this axis. Okay. So this is basically a movement about the axis or a point. So you can understand here that force which is acting does not pass to the center of mass, but it is slightly something off center, off center. Okay. And this results in rotation. So there is so many examples. I have taken one example, ice skater spin. Okay. Next is the journal motion. Journal motion means if you just treat this person who is walking at very fast speed, right? So there will be a possibility that he will rotate his hand in this direction or in this direction while movement, or uh, while you can say running, right? And there is a linear motion also. So you can say there may be a possibility of the combination of linear as well as the rotational movement. So most of the time there will be a general type of motions. So these are the pure linear motion. This is a pure rotational motion, and then maybe the combination of general motions. So here again you can see in this picture that I have taken for you just to try to understand that how we can apply the mechanics of the human segments, okay, or the components of the body. So if you see here that the joint will have a certain angles during the motions, these joints are subjected to forces, right? The thigh will have some masses, and these masses will have some inertia during the motion. And this thigh joint will have the torque, okay, or the movement about this torque. So it is just like if you draw the free body diagram of the each segment, you can find out the forces or the joint torques at every joints. Now these torque or the forces can only be calculated when you calculate the GRF, means ground reaction forces. So we always start from the ground reaction forces. Okay. So the forces which are acting at the hip joint, and then we have to calculate the forces which are acting at the ground reaction forces. Okay, this is another interesting part, which is very important to understand the center of gravity or center of mass. We know that the center of gravity is a point where the whole weight is assumed to be concentrated, right? It is assumed to be concentrated. For example, if we talk about a football, the football having air inside, okay, there will be no point. So where you have to apply the force, okay. So, but what happening according to the definition of the center of gravity, it is a point of the body where the whole weight or the mass is assumed to be concentrated. See, the body, like a rigid body, will have a fixed center of gravity, right? But if the body is flexible, like a human body, the center of gravity or center of mass is not fixed, it is movable. So that's why a person will have this capability or ability to shift his center of gravity, right? So according to the definition, we have to calculate the center of mass. It is the point on an object where its mass is most concentrated. The point where that body would balance on a very small base, right? So this concept is very important when the stability is our first concern, right? So you know that because the contact point is only 2 foot we have, so we have a very small base. On this small base, we have to support our entire body. And while walking, running, and playing any sports, we have to balance this body. Now you can watch your postures, right? I can take you one example so that you can better understand. One, I want to take one engineering example, and second one is the biomedical example. First example is you can see that the overloaded trolleys, tractor trolleys, you will find out always they topple, right, when they turn, right. So why it is why? Because weight is not the part here, because they are carrying a small kind of weight. जो भूसा use करते हैं वो लोग. But you will find out that suddenly the volume of the trolley is increasing and the center of gravity is shifting. So when the turn comes, the weight which is passing through is not to the center of gravity. And there will be a couple, right? And this couple is sufficient to topple the trolley. Same thing is happening with a pregnant woman. You know that during the pregnancy, the woman will have changes in their body, okay, and due to the changes of the shape of the body, the center of gravity will also change, right. So therefore that's why I have marked here that it is a very important concept when the stability is important. So if you just think about, if this force which is applied through the center of mass, you can see in this diagram, a linear motion results, right. But if this force is offset from the center of mass, there will be a rotational motion. This is a very practical example. The same thing is happening with the sports person. When he will apply a pushing force, you can just throw the person. But if you want to, you can say that fall down another person, you have to apply this force on some another place, means not at the center of gravity. So you have to apply this force at some other place. So you can just fall down a person on the ground, right? And in the case of boxing, or you can say fighting between the two persons, right, you can understand that what kind of forces he has to apply. So this angular motion is occur when this applied force is not passing through the center of mass, but it is at the distance, so that you can apply the rotational movement. Okay, there are 7 principles of biomechanical analysis. As I told you that stability is the first principle. Means the lower the center of mass, the larger the base of support, the closer the center of mass to the base support, and the greater the mass, the more stability increases. See, for a sumo wrestling person, he required the more stability, because his weight is very high, right? And very, you can say, the structure of a sumo wrestling person is not so good, right? So he always feel instability. So what he will do when he initiate the fight, he will change his posture in this manner, right? So that he will shift his center of gravity as lower as possible. Okay. Another example is when you will see in the case of football, the lower man wins often the games. Okay, just because of the center of gravity of the person. Similarly, if you compare the men and women, you will find out which center of how the center of gravity plays a important role in the case of the men and women structure. Okay, there are some more examples which for which we have to just think that can you say this is a stable position? Why or why not? Right. The second is the case which position is more stable, the first or the second, right? So you can apply here the simple mechanics concept to calculate the stability, but you can understand now here you just focus that this weight is passing through the center of gravity, which is given here 150 lb, and a force, a tangential force, which is applied here 30 lb force. And in the first posture, the distance between the two legs, it means between the point A and B, is say 1 inch, and the second case is or 1 foot, and the second case is it is 2 foot, right? So what happening if you apply the moment equation about point B, right? So what happening, this force moment about point B will be in anti-clockwise direction. So 30 multiplied by, you take this 3, and this 150 multiplied by 0.5. Okay, now in the second case, this distance will be 150 multiplied by 1, and this is equals to 30 multiplied by 3, right? So you can observe here that this position is more stable as considered to the this position. Okay, so this position is having a less stability as compared to the second position. So this means if you, what I want to say that in the case of biomechanical principles, you will see that a person, a sports person who is playing um, sports on as a daily activities, that he will be perfect always, right? How it is perfect? Because he has to follow the principle of the biomechanics. Okay, again, the second principle is the production of maximum force required the use of all possible joints movements that contribute to the task objective. It is basically the maximum effort, right? So if you see the golf person will hit the ball by applying the maximum force when the speed is required. Okay, so he has to rotate his hand in such a way that and take the advantage of all the joints. So all the joints will contribute to move this or hit this ball, right? And this is known as the summing of the forces. Summing of forces means all joints, means your this wrist joint, your elbow joint, this shoulder joint. You will find out that all joints will contribute to get the maximum force to hit the ball. Okay. Then in the next case, we have to take the maximum velocity advantage. It means the principle 3. This principle is the production of the maximum velocity. It means this can be easily achieved when you consider the joint in an order. Means starting from the largest to smallest. Okay. So you can find out the maximum velocity of a ball when you throw in a space. Okay, so you can see here these stepwise pictures. This person is throwing a ball, okay, in this direction. Similarly, in the case of a snapshot and hitting a golf ball, these are the some more examples where the maximum velocity is required. So with the help of the posture of the body, or you can say the combination of the joint forces, we can find out the maximum velocity of an object. Next is the linear motion. As I told you, linear motion, when the body is moving linearly, it means it is following a straight line. Okay. So the greater the applied impulse, the greater the increase in velocity, right? So here you can see these pictures where you can find out that this person is throwing this ball in upward direction. This is throwing this ball in the front direction, and this is kicking the ball upward direction. Okay. So these are the examples of the linear motions. Next is the principle 5, which is stated here that the movement which is usually occurs in the direction opposite to the applied force. Okay. In the case of basketball, when you hit the basketball, you can see the motion of the ball and the force is applied in the opposite direction where the motion is in that direction. Next is the angular motion. Angular motion means you can see again the posture of this body of this person, right? So this, as I told you, that angular motion is always developed when the force is offset, right? So this force W multiplied by distance X will produce a you can say that clockwise couple on the body, okay, and this body will revolve in a space during the divings, okay. So this will produce a angular motion with the application of the force acting at some distance from the axis, and this you can say that a moment or a couple or a you can say that torque which is produced in a body, right? So this principle is also known as the principle of the production of angular motion. So mostly in the case of the skydiving, or you can say that diving in a pool, you can say that this type of motion is required. Okay. Next is the momentum. Angular momentum, you know that it is a constant when the person is free fall from the space or from the air, in the air, right? So when the or any object which is falling freely, the momentum is constant, right? So this principle is also required when it is, you know that this principle is basically the conservation of angular momentum. So if we talk about the conservation of energy, you say that the energy cannot be generated or destroyed. It is just converted from one form to the another form. So one form means the available energy, and where how it is required to convert. This is this decision is taken by the person. Okay. So this means there are two examples, that diver and gymnastics person who will take the advantage of the angular momentum. The next is the conservation of momentum. As you know that the conservation of momentum means just like a energy conservation, you can conserve the moment. So if you talk about a person who is skating on ice, which has a very low friction, okay. So this basically we can use the advantage. So therefore, mathematically you can find out the angular momentum equals to radius of rotation multiplied by angular speed. So if the skater increases her radius, then her angular speed will decrease to keep momentum conserved, right? So you can observe very carefully this type of exercise. When she wants to increase or decrease her speed, she has to take a long route or a small route, right? These exercises are basically based on the conservation of momentum. Okay, so levers are basically a kind of a machine, okay, and we use levers every day. Why it is called as a machine? Because machine will always minimize the effort, and lever is also a kind of machine because it will also help to minimize the effort to raise a very heavy load, right? So I think you have already studied in 10+2 level what are the class of levers. So in the first class, you know that the fulcrum is lying between the effort and the load, right? And in the second class, the load is between the effort and the fulcrum. And in the third class of the lever, you can say that the effort is in between the load and the fulcrum, right? So there are so many examples. For example, a scissor, okay, nutcracker, wheelbarrows, and nail scraper. These all work because of the lever principles. So in sports, it is important to understand how lever works. If you understand the working of a lever, you can provide the advantage of the levers to the athletes to optimize their movement. Okay, and in order to get the maximum efficiency of the sport, you can understand the lever, right? So let me take one example. That suppose if you want to hold some weight in your hand, right? One thing is you have to keep your hand vertical up, Second is you have to keep your vertical down like this. And second thing is you just take your hand vertically. Oh, okay, sorry, yeah, this horizontal, right? Now, when you keep your this hand horizontal and taking some weight on this hand, right? Are you capable to view my picture?
Your camera is off. Kindly.
Oh, sorry.
Your camera is off.
Okay, okay, चलिए कोई बात नहीं. So you just think about when you take some weight in your hand and keep your hand just at 90 degree to your body posture, right? You'll feel pain in your elbow or in your this ball and socket joint, right? So this shoulder, right? So what happening? Why are you feeling this weight? Because the muscles are taking the entire body in equilibrium. Okay? And you can take the advantage when you consider the lever principles. Okay, so when if you think about that human body's entire structure, it means all bones are behaving like a levers, because God has created this body in such a way that the entire system is having a lever properties. Okay, so human bodies is moving with the system of levers. So lever cannot be changed, but that can be utilized more efficiently. So in the body, if you talk about the bones represents the bars, just like a previous diagram. Joints are the axis and muscles contract to apply the force. Right? So these are basically the effort which is applied with the help of your muscles. So joints are your bars. Sorry, bones represents the bars, joints are the axis, and muscles contract to apply the forces. So again, here you will have the three components to define a lever. Now, if you talk about the failure of your body structure, or you can say that your these muscles failure, or you can say the ligament failures, or any kind of tissue deformations, these are due to the mechanical loading, right? And these mechanical loadings are normally defined with the help of these diagrams. That one is the tension, when the member is in tension. Okay, compression, just opposite to the tension. Next is the shearing, right? When we apply the two forces which are equal in magnitude but in opposite direction and acting at two different planes or two different positions. Next is the bending. When you apply the clockwise and anti-clockwise couple at their ends, you can bend a member. Then next is the torsion. It means the twisting movement apply, right? If you twist your hand, right, you will find out a pain in your shoulder, right? Why it is so? Because your muscles are twisted, okay, and they will resist the motion, okay. Then sometimes there may be a combined means torsion and compressions. So these are basically all these kinds of mechanical movement or loadings are also coming in the human bodies. So let me show you this picture so to understand some loadings. For example, the compression loadings. As you know that for your leg, a body weight is acting downward, and due to this body weight, there will be a ground forces or ground reaction forces. So under these ground reaction forces, this entire segment of the body is subjected to a compression loading, right? And these compression will also passing through the ligaments. So the upper muscular, the joints which are connected with the ligaments and the last. So if we try to understand the body of the segment part, these all parts are subjected to the forces. The forces are not only transferred to your foot. These forces, ground reaction forces, are also transferred to your other body joints, other body parts, starting to your foot, to your elbow, to your knee, to your hip joint, okay, and other members. Next is the shear loading. Shear loading, as I told you, there are two equal forces, but in opposite direction. So these may cause to break the tissues or to fracture the tissues or ligaments, right? So we have to consider it should not increase or some cases. Next is I think, please switch off your
All,
mic.
all the students are requested to mute your mics. S. Jayasuriya.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. So shear loading is also very important. You know that when you're walking on a surface, right, your foot is subjected to a shear force. Shear force is just due to the friction. Okay, so because you move your body in forward direction and friction will act in the opposite direction. So there are two forces. One is the friction force and the second is the movement force due to the muscles force. Okay, and these two forces are producing a shearing action starting from the foot to the knee joint or other joints which are interconnected. So therefore, we have to consider this force is as serious as much possible. Next is the tensile loading. Tensile loading means when the joints are also having a tensile forces, right? So in this case, what happening normally when you hear that in many cases, you will find out that a sports person will lose their ligaments. Okay, many 90% sports person loses their ligaments. Okay, during their regular activities. Okay, ligaments basically these are used to stabilize the joint. Okay. As I told you that bones provide the structure, muscles provide the motion, and ligaments stabilize the joints. Stabilizing means it will not move after its limit. Okay, there is a small movement, but if it is crossing its limit, their ligaments will fail. Okay, right. Now, this is a very important thing is a torque or moment of inertia. We know that torque is the force that produces a rotating or twisting motion. It is sometimes also referred to as a rotational force. Okay. So it depends upon the amount of force which is used and the distance the force is applied from the center of mass. So you can observe here that in which case A or B, in which case the torque is maximum. See, you have to apply the rotational torque. This weight is here, okay, and you have to apply the distance. You can calculate the radius is increasing here, right? So that in this case the radius is very low, then torque is high at this case. Initial torque is very high in this case, right? Now, as I told you that if you put your arm in a straight position and hold the weight, right? So if you want to just rotate this arm in anti-clockwise direction or clockwise direction, you have to use the muscle force. Okay, so this biceps muscles contracts here, and you can see here that the connectivity point where you have to apply the force. Okay, so this is the point of the joint axis. This is a joint axis, and this is the point where you have to apply the force or effort, and this is the point where the weight is acting downward. So you can understand this is a type of a lever. Okay, this is the axis fulcrum. This is the point where you have to apply the force, and this is the weight, which is or you can say that it is a reaction where it is acting right at the end. Now, I've just taken this picture for you to understand the human knee joint as a 4-bar mechanism, but I will not go through much in detail about this because this is the part of my research. When I go through in the year of 19, so you can say that in 2011, right? So, as I told you that a human knee joint will have both the motions. One is the rolling as well as the sliding. See, this femur will roll in this direction and having some sliding motion also in forward or backward during the motion, right? So as I told you that there are two ligament. One is the anterior cruciate ligament, ACL, and second is the PCL, posterior cruciate ligaments. And these ligaments are connected at different points to stabilize the joints. And because due to the flexibility and joint connectivity, these behave like a hinge joint. So it's a crossed, you can say that 4-bar mechanism. Okay. So if we talk about the degree of freedom of a knee joint, it will have a 6 degree of freedom. You can see here that this is a sliding rotation. This is a another anterior posterior translation, right? And tibial femoral rotation, and these kind of flexion and extension of the knee, right? So there are 6 degree of freedom. Now you just think about it. If you want to develop any mechanism or any kind of prosthesis devices, we have to understand the mechanics first of this human body. Okay, so that a orthopedics or any prosthetic designer can change the design of the system. Okay, next is the motion analysis. See, motion analysis is very helpful to understand the kinematics part of the human body and the kinetic part of the human body. I have taken this experimental setup of the motion analysis. This is a Vicon experimental setup where you will find out the infrared cameras which are placed at different locations, and there is a pathway. You can see here that this is a pathway. This is a pathway where a person having a infrared, you can say that sensors, or you can say that some markers which are attached with the human bodies at different locations. He will move on this pathway as a barefoot, okay, and these motions will be captured with the help of the camera. So there is a one force plate also. You can see here that in this picture that there is a force plate. This force plate is useful to record the ground reaction forces. As I told you that the ground reaction forces are very helpful to understand the mechanics, biomechanics of the human body, right? So you can see here that in the workstation, I can record the data when a person is moving with the markers. So you can develop the stick diagram of the anatomical joints. This person is moving on this pathway, and we can generate this kind of trajectories of different segment of the body, right? So you can observe here that a hip joint is having a more or less it is a linear type of or a straight line type of motion, whereas for the knee joint will have a some kind of movement, and the maximum movement occurs at the ankle joint. You can see here that this type of joint, this type of trajectory of the ankle joint. Now this is a normal walking. Okay, so normal walking, or you can say described by the gait analysis, or you can say that it is the walking patterns of a human person, where the gait analysis is mainly divided into the two phase. One is the stance phase and second is the swing phase. So 60% of the cycle is reserved for the stance phase, whereas the 40% is for the swing phase, right? So stance phase means when the person is touching the ground, or the foot is in the with the ground, okay, or in the contact with the ground. Swing phase means when the foot is in the air, okay, it is not in the contact of the ground. Now, in the case of squat analysis, you can see here that this is again a typical stick diagram. As I told you, this is a very typical postures which a person has to take, right? Your hip will move like this, okay, and knee will have a small rotation about the joints. You can see here that when you joint the ankle to hip with a vertical line, you will find out this kind of movement. Ankle joint will not have much displacement in the graph, right? So you can find out during the motion of the squatting analysis, okay, you will find out more movement for the hip joint as well as the knee joint. Knee joint is also lifting up, so that's why this joint is facing a serious problem uh, when a person is doing this exercise for a very long period of time. So I have published one paper on it. If you are interested, then you can refer my paper. When a person will lose his ligaments, or he will his bones will also fails. Okay, due to the failure of the fluid which is inside, synovial fluid. Okay, which provide a lubricant between the joints. Okay, so this is a kind of the fluid mechanics concept which I don't want to discuss right now here because it will take one more lecture. Okay, this is a kinetic analysis of the lower limb. I have just taken this model for just to understand for you how to develop a model for a human lower limb. Again, this is a part of the biomechanics. You can see here first, as I told you, the ground reaction forces. So we have to take these forces in two directions. One is the vertical direction, YG its component, and second is the XG. XG is the shear load and YG is the normal load, right? So these forces are transferred. We have to consider all the joint as a hinge joint, and these joints will have their own components. So you can draw here the free body diagram for the thigh segment, shank segment, and the foot segment. Once you draw this free body diagram, you can develop the mathematical equations, because lots of mathematical portion involves in the biomechanics. Okay, so for a biomechanics people, you should have a good mathematical concepts, right? You should be able to solve the linear equations, or you can say you should be able to solve the differentiations equations. Okay, so that you can find out the velocity, acceleration, and displacement for the analysis of the kinematics. So I have just going through this gait analysis of the human body or left side kinematics. You can see here that we have recorded some graphs, and this is basically the kinematics part, where the hip flexor and extension means the rotation of the hip, right? And this is a adduction and abduction and the hip rotations. Similarly, knee flexion and extension and the rotations can be recorded with the help of software during gait analysis, right? And ankle motion also can be recorded. So these kind of motions can be easily recorded, but you can also calculate mathematically these kind of trajectories. And if you talk about the forces, or you can say the movement, right, or torque, these also can be calculated with the help of the equations developed with the help of the biomechanical models or the biomechanics models, right? So you can calculate the kinetics with the help of the EMG, you can say that signals, right? And with the use of force plate, right? A force plate is very useful to record the forces when a person is moving on the surface. So thank you very much. If you have any question and doubts.
Now the session is open for the questions and answer. So any student, if want to ask any question from the expert, yes, Tarun, now you can ask. Tarun.
Good afternoon, John, sir. Sir, am I audible to you?
Yes, I am audible. You are audible.
Sir, as you told previously that you're doing research in biomechanics and that you have published many papers. Sir, I am interested in knowing what kind of research is done in biomechanics in general.
Okay. See, very good question. There are different fields. For example, a swimmer. A swimmer has to use the concept of the bio. Okay, a person who is cycling, right? So during the cycling, he has to apply the effort on a pedal with your foot. So at what position the maximum effort will be generated? This calculation can be done by you, right? See, the second thing is, which I have left here, which I could not cover due to the time restriction. See what happening, your body, as I told you, it's a kind of a mechanism, right? See, when your foot is touching the ground, it's a kinematic chain, or you can say it's a closed chain mechanism, right? When your foot is in the air, right, then it's a open chain mechanism. Okay. So what happening, if you realize these kind of things, you can easily find out the application of the biomechanics. See, as I told you in my first slide, that biomechanics principles are very useful for a sports person. This is the study for the sports. Okay. So how a sports person is perfect all the time. If you see that if you want to win the game, right? What kind of forces, what kind of activity you have to do, how your coach is providing the support or the knowledge of the biomechanism, how he is able to give you the directions, right? Because because he is very good in biomechanics principles, he understand that where you have to apply the force, okay, where you have to minimize the effort, okay, how you can stop your body when you are walking at very high speed, how you can initiate your motion. For example, in running cases or athletes will used some pads. You can say that where you can initiate the motion. A swimmer or diver is also using a you can say that a pad where you your foot. Okay. Next thing is you can say that your design of the shoe. If you see, you will find out in the market there are various kind of shoes which are available in the market. Some shoes are just casual, but there are some shoes which are sports shoes and very expensive, right? Why it is very expensive? Because these shoes are designed on the basis of the biomechanics principles. Okay, so in the case of shoe design, we have to use this kind of study. So there are not only, as I told you, the structure kind of things, we have to understand the fluid mechanics also. It means your blood. So when your doctor says that your blood pressure is high, your blood pressure is low, what is the meaning of it? What is the significance of it? So in this case, you should know that how your blood cells are working. Okay, what is the viscosity? Okay, so my answer is clear to all of you.
Tarun,
Yes,
is this
sir.
all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's clear, sir.
Now, another question from any student. We are open for question and answer session. So you are required to raise your hand, then you are required to ask any other question from any student. Okay, Bhupesh sir, as no question is coming from the student side, so now you can proceed for the vote of thanks. Bhupesh sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, very good afternoon to all of you. It's my great pleasure to present the vote of thanks for our eminent and distinguished personality, Professor S.S. Chauhan, sir. So, on behalf of Department of Mechanical Engineering, Amity School of Engineering and Technology, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, I profoundly thankful to Dr. S.S. Chauhan for getting time, just finding out his precious time. He has given a lot of things and exclusively related to the basic and advanced level of mechanics through the activity of human body. It was really fantastic for me also, for us also. I also extend my gratitude to moderator Mr. Sanjeev Kumar Sarma ji, Mr. Mahendra Kumar Barma ji, and all attendees from computer science, CSC 1, CSC 2, and uh, other computer science engineering discipline students and AI students. It is really a great lecture. It was a really nice lecture by which you will come to know exactly how mechanics can be studied or exactly visualized or exactly observed through our activities, daily activities, by working, by anything, and how we can analyze. Finally, he has also given the talk on analysis portion, how we can just develop a mathematical equation, how we can just put into the graph, and how we can just develop a software to do it. So it is also very useful for you guys, for student of computer science and engineering. I thankful to you all for attending this great session. I am sure that you got lot of benefit. You got benefited with this lecture definitely, and you will be able to apply this in your future life, in your future engineering, as in you are just at the beginning stage. So finally, I'm most thankful to IT section also. IT team who has given this platform, great platform to deliver this lecture, to present, to just enhance the things. Really, I'm thankful to all students, faculty members, and moderator and all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Bhupenji, and I'm also grateful to the METI University for giving me this opportunity. And I don't think that this portion is much because I could not share my camera to all of you. Maybe I forgotten. So in future, if you have any doubt, you can send me your mail. Okay, write to your query to my mail ID. Right. Please share my mail ID, Mr. Sanjeev
Yes,
ji,
yes,
and
sir. Yes.
I will definitely love to share my views to all of you, sir.
Definitely, sure, sir. So thanks a lot, sir. Thank you very much. Sanjeev sir, now you can just stop the recording and you can just end the session.
Okay, sir. Okay. So I would